And now it's Lunchtime with Ira, live from the Las Vegas Hilton.
He also performed with Liberace here initially.
He
correct?
learned a lot. Yes, he did. And he learned a lot from Liberace. Liberace was the one that told him, and it may have been an influence in Elvis later. He said, you know, what you need to do, because Elvis told him about the outfits. Man, they're beautiful. And he says, well, I always think that if something happens to me, that my voice fails or my hands go numb, I can always do a fashion show. Yeah. And so Elvis, as you saw his outfits, he set the tone. He set the tone.
Did he teach Liberace karate?
No, he hadn't got into karate at that time. That was in '56 when he was here, when he met with Liberace the first time, and they talked about that. Elvis started karate in Germany in 1958 when he went over there. He started and studied it and got his first black belt in 1960, about a year afterwards.
Did he study it throughout his life, karate?
Yes, he did. He studied it I worked out with him.
See, that's the thing that I think people get confused about, is that on the one hand, if he was dedicated to karate, which is a mental and physical discipline. It's a martial art.
Right.
It's not just something that you do. And yet at the same time, he was obviously addicted to substances. So how do you reconcile those two things?
Well, I don't know if I can. I just know that it's a reality, and I know that there's other people. Why do doctors become addicts when they know what medicine does? And
Well,
yet
because
they become...
it's free.
Exactly.
If you're a doctor.
Well, it was almost free to Elvis. Well, he did give out Cadillacs here and there for doctors.
Was he? I always had heard from people and read that he's a very generous man in the sense that he would go and give someone a car or.
I'm going to tell you, Ira, his joy was giving, and he didn't want you to fawn all over him after it and keep going. After he gave it to you, got that initial reaction, saw your eyes light up, saw him, that was it for him. You hugged him, and that, don't come at me again tomorrow and say, Elvis, I still can't believe what you did yesterday. Leave it alone. I got other things to do for other people. He was just very giving. He got that from his mother. His mother was a very giving woman. And Elvis used to come downstairs there at Graceland, and he'd walk into the breakfast area, and there's his mom with several women that she has brought home from the supermarket that wants to meet him. And he said, honey, these women want to say hi to you. Y'all give him his names. And Elvis said his name, then he'd go back. He said, well, I got to go back up and clean up. But that's just the way she was. She just opened it up to people. She's just wonderful.
Did he ever decide to buy the supermarket? And that way he could
he
control it there?
He wanted a drugstore.
He did own a drugstore?
No, he wanted one.
Oh, he wanted to own a drugstore, yeah. That makes a little sense,
But I mean,
too.
that's true. He was really thinking about buying one.
Do you go to Graceland at all?
I went up there in 1983 with a guy that played with the group Alabama, Jeff. Teddy and his two cousins had gone to Bear Bryant's last football game at the Liberty Bowl, and while in Memphis, they went to Graceland. They came home telling him about it. So I'm working on tour with them, and he says, you got to take me. So I called Jack Soden, the CEO there, and he met us, and we took Jeff through. But we went through with a regular tour, no specialty. And I said, I'll meet you. When they went to go to the gravesite, I said, I'll meet you back at the racquetball court. So I went around. And I went back up there in '96 when they were having the candlelight service, and I got up there, and there were like 6 people deep, and as I went in, and I knew approximately where Elvis' gravesite was, and I stopped and I turned, and it was like there's just an opening there, and I could see him. And I said, I got to get out of here, and I turned to leave, and the guys came with me, and I was crying. I wasn't there when he passed away. I was in California, and because of the book and everything, I felt it wise not to go back there. But
when
you
did you get that vibe when you just went to Graceland itself, as opposed to standing where the gravesite was?
I got it. Yeah, that's why I haven't been back since then. And you got to remember something too, Ira. The last time I spoke to him or saw him alive was in the foyer of Graceland after we did our tour on July the 5th, 1976 at the Mid-South Coliseum. It was the end of the tour. He was walking up those steps, and he wished me happy birthday, because it was my birthday, July 5th. And he was going up, and I said, well, I'll see you in a few days, boss, get some rest and everything. And that was it. And I had no idea that 8 days later, his father was going to give us from Elvis's. That's one thing I'd like to make clear. Vernon Presley did not fire us. He didn't have the authority over the guys. Elvis did. And so Elvis told him to let us go, and he was going to hire me and Red back in 2 or 3 months, give him enough money to live on for 2 or 3 months, but I got to show him I'm still the boss.
And he was, and your book points that out. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. It was Sonny West, ladies and gentlemen. He's author of the new book, Elvis, Still Taking Care of Business, available everywhere. We'll be right back.